The fight against free speech is heating up as the British police raid and arrest an 11-year-old child. Listen to that. 11-year-old child for attending an anti-immigration rally. We're covering this new development and so much more here on Beyond the Headlines, only on Vigilant News. This segment is sponsored by Tax Network USA, helping Americans get rid of their back-owed taxes. Check them out today at tnusa.com/VNN. I'm Elijah Schaefer. Let's start the show. Now, the fight against free speech is centered currently in France and the United Kingdom as the police are arresting anybody who even uses their eyes to look at the protests against their insane immigration policies. This story from thegatewaypundit.com. British police raid and arrest an 11-year-old child for attending a recent anti-immigration protest, BenQ reports. Now, British police have raided and arrested an 11-year-old child for participating in a spate of recent anti-immigration protests, some of which turned violent. Local police confirmed the arrest of the child on Thursday as they widened their crackdown against political dissidents and those who participated in the demonstrations. The Evening Standard reports that police arrested an 11-year-old suspected of taking part in riots in the Northeast earlier this month, reminding you he's not even 12. Now, the young boy was one of 14 people arrested during a series of raids in Teesside carried out by Cleveland police in the early hours of Wednesday. The force has now arrested 110 people following the widespread trouble in Hartlepool and Middlesbrough, which was some of the worst seen in recent history. Before police officers set out to carry out raids on Wednesday morning, Superintendent Mark Anderson briefed them saying, "I was Silver Commander on Sunday, August 4th, and never in 30 years service have I seen anything like this in Middlesbrough. What the community had to put up with that day was completely unacceptable." Well, you know what else is unacceptable too? Bringing in millions and millions of foreigners who don't share Western values, have made white British a minority in London, and continue to wreak, rape gangs and individual targeting, theft, and crime. Remember, in the United Kingdom, Dublin was considered one of the safest cities in 2003. In 2024, it's one of the top 10 most dangerous in the Western world. Now, while some protesters likely engage in criminal activity, the police are under orders from the country's new left-wing government to come down as hard on anyone involved in the recent disorder. During the summer of 2020, similar violent protests broke out across Britain in response to the death of George Floyd and the global Black Lives Matter movement. Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who was then just leader of the opposition, made clear his support for protests and even photographed himself taking the knee in support of the Marxist uprising. Here we see Cernovich posting that Labour leader Keir Starmer takes a knee in support of Black Lives Matter rioters. Meanwhile, the government and law enforcement are also turning their eye towards censoring or even shutting down social media after Elon Musk's X platform was blamed for the outbreak of violence because of his support for free speech. Now, they explained that, being against immigration and, protesting or speaking on the internet is more dangerous than rape gangs. And they're going to actually release genuine rapists, murderers, killers, people who have stabbed people, threatened people, to make sure that they have room in the prison for people who are against this new flood of immigration. Listen, on BBC Breakfast, they talk about releasing prisoners in a new operation called Early Dawn. Listen.
We will guarantee a prison cell. We will make sure that those people who need to be in prison will be in prison, not necessarily in the area where they live. They may be 200-300 miles away from home, but we will guarantee people a prison cell.
With the numbers are so tight there, how can you make that guarantee?
They are tight, and that's why we've initiated Operation Early Dawn. So basically, the easiest way to describe it is one in, one out. So as people get released, we can then pick up people from police cells and take them to court, and we will triage that 3 times a day.
Yeah, let's make sure we release people that committed violent crimes so that we can get you in prison for thought crimes. It's kind of remarkable. Now, of course, the United Kingdom has never been a democracy. It's always been an illusion. It's always been a monarchy and a tyrannical government. Now it's a technocracy, which we have around the world. But I want to remind you guys that if you owe back taxes to the government, they never forget. Like, they have the longest memory in all of history. Pandemic relief is now over, along with hiring thousands of new agents and field officers. The IRS has kicked off 2024 by sending over 5 million pay-up letters to those who have unfiled tax returns or balances owed. Don't waive your rights and speak to them on your own. They are not your friends. Okay, the government does not like you. Tax Network USA is a trusted tax relief firm, has saved over $1 billion in back taxes for their clients, and they can help you secure the best deal possible. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, they can help you. Whether it's business or personal taxes, even if you have the means to pay or you are on a fixed income, they can help finally resolve your tax burdens once and for all. Call 1-800-958 1000. That's 1-800-958-1000 for a private free consultation, or visit tnusa.com/VNN. That's tnusa.com/VNN. Check it out today. Now, as I mentioned, this idea of arresting people and pushing people, it gets worse because they're even considering not giving health care to you if they consider you to be racist. Now, racism is such an arbitrary statement. What is racism? Is it discrimination? Because discrimination is good. I mean, when you walk down the street, you see somebody dressed like a gang member, maybe you want to avoid and walk to the other side of the road. Now, of course, leftists will be like, oh, you just walk to the other side because they're black. And see, I didn't even say that they're black. I said they dressed like a gang member. But anyone who's dressed like a thug, you don't want to be next to them. And if your culture and your ethnic culture is about looking like thuggery, then you have the problem, not me. But the real racism that they're claiming is the fact that if you're against this replacement migration, remember, replacement is not an ideology. It's not a white supremacist conspiracy theory. It's an immigration policy. There is a concerted effort to bring in division into countries, replace the nationalistic white populations with immigrants from lower caste systems in other countries that don't share our religion or our values. And people don't want to believe that that's true, because of course everyone knows somebody from a different ethnicity that is cool and great, and maybe majority of people who watch this show aren't even white. But the problem is that in these countries, this is not about having diversity and tolerance. This is about creating grievance politics, division through a Marxist destruction of the country. And that's what we're seeing, right? Everybody knows somebody cool from a different background, but what we're seeing at the southern border in the United States, the fact that now if you have a bad tweet, they can deny you health care. Well, you tell me if social medicine sounds like such a good idea after all. Anyway, I'm Elijah Schaffer. Thank you for watching Beyond the Headlines. Don't forget to do two things. We are trying to fight the mainstream media by keeping this independent media platform alive. So go ahead and subscribe directly to our newsletter at vigilantnews.com, or you can subscribe and get these videos every day at X and on rumble.com at Vigilant News. I'm Elijah Schaffer. Have a great rest of the week. May God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.